Hello and welcome to part 3 of this lecture, and I'm just going to discuss very quickly the blogging task for week 2. So having identified your general media niche in the first blog post, you can now begin to narrow your research and begin to define your actual field site for your research. A field site is not really either a physical or virtual space. It's kind of both together. A field site is the term for the lived experience of a network of relations. And I talk about what a network of relations is in part 2 of the videos this week. You're going to be in your blogs this week producing a rough map of your field site and narrate your exploration of this field site and how you're going to do research on this field site. The map can be quite basic, even hand-drawn, but make sure to capture as many of the elements in the field site that you think will be relevant to your investigation. I spoke about narrowing your research topic in the lecture this week. But for this blog post, in blog post 2, I want you to keep it as broad and general as possible. We'll get on to narrowing and really hyper-focusing in later blog posts. This one, you're just going to produce a rough map of the overall network of the human and non-human actors in your field site. For example, you might be interested in a particular brand of clothing. Your network map should include the brand's website, social media presence, any of the advertising and marketing material that is used to identify and promote the brand, including influencers and so on. You should indeed have in your map any of the major brand ambassadors, any real-world locations where it's being sold, retailed, or online locations where it's being retailed. Is there a parent company? Does that company have a board of directors and a CEO? Who is the advertising agency attached to the brand? Where is this clothing manufactured? What factories? What companies? How is it transported? Some of this information might be difficult to find, so you can just indicate that you're interested in it rather than actually sourcing it. Another example is a prominent YouTuber. You would need to map their social media presence. Is their YouTuber persona real? Is it scripted? Is it presentational? Are there prominent advertisers or sponsors attached to that YouTuber? Does the content producer have a Discord? Do they have a Facebook? Do they use Twitter or Instagram? Or go non-Western, right? Is this influencer in China? That would be a really interesting exploration. Does this YouTuber appear on other people's videos and content? Are they a collaborator? Okay, so that's it. It's not an overly difficult task. You just need to communicate your map in some way visually. Remember, the article, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, by Lundstrom and Lundstrom. This one is a really good attention to the method, which we're going to talk more about next week. But they ask some really interesting questions that help them map the field site of the podcast that they're researching. They're asking, what is the podcast network? What kind of online presence does the show have outside of the media player app? What are the features of its website and its social media presence? How prominent are the presenters' personas? Does the podcast brand dominate over its contributors? That's an interesting one. To what degree does the show incorporate responses from its audiences? So you're not only mapping locations, you're mapping processes and the relations between those locations. Who is the show's advertisers and target audiences? Please remember 500 words minimum, no more than 1,000 words maximum. and somewhere between 2 and 4 minutes. 2 absolute minimum. 2 is an absolute minimum, and 4 is an absolute maximum for any audio video, and you are encouraged to do that. Remember, we're not going to be assessing the aesthetic quality of the audio video components, only the informational content. Referencing, Harvard or links. Connectivity, links. There should, particularly with this mapping exercise, there should be links to all of the different elements that you're talking about in the blog post. Metadata, please do not forget to tag and categorize your posts. That's a really essential skill. And of course, images and embedded media, make sure you give appropriate credit. All right, that's it for the blogging task this week. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. And I'll talk to you next week. Cheers. Bye.